Hello, how are you? Today I'm going to talk to you about the benefits of cocoa for our health. Inflammation, blood vessels, brain, metabolism. Cocoa can bring several beneficial effects to our health. I'll tell you how to use it and what not to do when consuming it. You're going to love this video, so stay until the end. You won't want to miss it. Before we start, I want to ask you if you think the taste of chocolate is just for a special occasion, for a weekend, for a special event, or if you usually have it every day. I would love to see your comment. Remember to like the video, it really helps me out here on the channel, and share this amazing content with anyone you know who would enjoy it, with those who need these tips. Let's expand this chain of kindness. That's what I want here with the channel. It's worth mentioning before we start our video that cocoa is not chocolate, right? This is where a lot of people get confused. Cocoa, in fact, is the food that comes from the fruit, the cacao fruit from the cacao tree, and it is super rich in polyphenols, fiber, flavonoids, and minerals. Chocolate, on the other hand, is a processed product and is usually high in sugar, refined fat, additives, and may or may not contain milk, depending on its composition. Science does not study sugar with cocoa that's more sugar than cocoa, that chocolate drink mix. It studies actual cocoa, its bioactive compounds, and that's what I'm going to talk about here in our video. When these studies talk about the benefits of cocoa, they are referring to cocoa powder, cocoa with a high concentration of solids, or dark chocolate, over 70%, that is, with a high cocoa content and low sugar content. This distinction changes everything. When I talk to you here about the benefits of cocoa, I'm not talking about that milk chocolate bar, nor about that chocolate drink mix that many people put in children's milk. So, what is it about cocoa that impresses scientists so much, and why has it been studied for so long? Cocoa is one of the richest dietary sources of flavonoids, especially catechin, epicatechin, and procyanidins. These compounds act directly on blood vessel function, reduce oxidative stress, modulate inflammation, and influence brain and vascular signaling. In other words, cocoa is very beneficial for our brain health, for proper stimulation, and it improves the efficiency of systems, especially the vascular system, in a complementary way. In fact, it is a very healthy food. 100% cocoa powder is also a food that is very rich in fiber, and we know about the beneficial role of fiber for intestinal health, preventing constipation, improving the health and balance of the gut microbiota, and also for effects related to metabolism, blood sugar, glucose control, glucose spikes, and even for complementary cholesterol management. So, cocoa, 100% cocoa, really is a very nutritious addition to our diet. In addition, cocoa and its effects on circulation have been the subject of study by many scientists. One of the most consistent findings in science is the effect of cocoa on the endothelium, which is the lining of the blood vessels. This is because the flavonoids in cocoa improve the bioavailability of nitric oxide, which enhances the ability of blood vessels to dilate and reduces arterial stiffness. In other words, cocoa can help blood flow with less resistance and allow the vessels to respond better in terms of circulation. It's also worth mentioning, of course, the effect that cocoa has on mood and the mind, right? Because many people know that cocoa is associated with that feeling of good mood and well-being. That's because cocoa can improve cerebral blood flow, modulate neurotransmitters linked to pleasure or well-being, like endorphins and serotonin, and it can reduce markers of oxidative stress in the brain. So, for some people who use cocoa regularly, even this healthy cocoa, the real one, 100% pure cocoa, the whole kind I'm talking about, you may experience improved focus, a sense of well-being, better mood, and less mental fatigue. Remember, I'm not talking here about milk chocolate, sugar, or chocolate-flavored drinks. It's also worth mentioning the role of metabolism. Cocoa can actually help with that. A common mistake is that people think cocoa will interfere with weight loss or blood sugar control because they confuse cocoa with chocolate-flavored drinks or milk chocolate. And studies show that the flavonoids in cocoa can improve insulin sensitivity, help reduce metabolic stress, and don't have a significant glycemic effect. They don't cause a glucose spike when used without sugar, because basically, cocoa has very little net carbohydrate and a lot of fiber. And there's also the matter of flavonoids, which help control inflammation and in an indirect way can also help with metabolic control because of their effect on insulin sensitivity. So if you're looking for the taste of cocoa, the taste of chocolate, without impacting your blood sugar, remember to use 100% cocoa and sweeten it with stevia, xylitol, or erythritol. I have many videos here on the channel talking more about non-caloric sweeteners, and I'll leave them linked for you down in the description. So remember, the best options for you to use are 100% cocoa powder, or at least a cocoa with a high percentage of cocoa, a chocolate powder, not chocolate milk powder, with a high cocoa content. And in the same way, if you're going to use a chocolate bar, choose one with 70% or more cocoa, so that you have a higher concentration of cocoa than other ingredients. Because if you look at the label of a chocolate bar, there are some that have a very high concentration of cocoa butter, milk, sugar, and very little actual cocoa. So it's always a good idea for us to read the label to know what we're consuming and buying for our family. Remember that I have a video here on the channel teaching you how to read food labels and not be fooled by the food industry. I'll leave that video down below in the description. Tell me if you have the habit of using cocoa in your daily life, which cocoa you use, and whether you eat chocolate every day or not. I would love to see your comment. Like the video to help me out and share it with anyone who might need it. Let's work together to grow this chain of kindness. See you next time. Bye.